Hey Amanda, thanks for joining
Hello.
us today.
How are y'all?
I'm good. I'm Max, and then we have Dylan on the screen. Dylan's actually a Texas A&M student who he helps us
Yep.
out here in the off season when he's not at school. So
No way.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
Giga Maggies, right?
Yeah.
so he
Max, where are you at?
I'm in New Jersey actually.
Okay. That's so funny that did you graduate or you're a student? You're a student, you said.
I'm about to graduate in about like a week or so. So yeah, exciting times here in College Station.
Cool. And you're living there right now?
Yes, because I'm from New Jersey, and it's probably best not to go back there with all the cases and all that. So yeah,
Oh,
staying in College
wow.
Station. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
And where you live in Texas right now, Amanda? Or
Yeah, I live just north of Austin. Yeah.
okay, and everybody in your family and you are safe and healthy during this time?
Yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah, we're good. We're this is life in quarantine. A lot of podcasts, a lot of talking to different baseball and softball personalities. So it's been kind of fun, and it's been a growth experience, I guess you could say. So
Thanks for being flexible with my time. We ended up having to have a package deal meeting this morning. That was just for some stuff that we had to talk about. So it was
yeah,
good that
no,
you were flexible. Thank you.
yeah, no worries. You guys are. I call you guys the package deal mafia because I had Jen on last week. You're number two, and then of course I was like, I got to reach out to Morgan. So I reached out to Morgan last night, and we want to get the whole package deal on here. So appreciate you guys coming on here and being cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's just dive into it. Like, every story kind of begins with a softball, background. Like, did you start playing at an early age? Was it your first love, or did you play other sports growing up?
I started playing at like 6. So I started playing coach pitch just at the local league. And then once I got to middle school, I ended up playing other sports. I played volleyball and basketball. I love volleyball, by the way. Like, I mean, I love softball too, of course, but I love volleyball. Basketball was just something that I feel like I did to keep busy. I wasn't that good at it. And then I only played volleyball through freshman year of high school.
And did you pitch? Was that something that you liked doing from the beginning, or was it kind of later on it developed the pitching?
So my dad volunteered me to pitch because I mentioned I started with coach pitch. So then when
Yeah.
we went up a level, then it was like nobody on the team had pitched, right? So my dad was like, "Oh, well, Amanda will do it." And so I think probably like 8 other people on the team attempted to pitch, and I think that I was the best option, which still was not very good. And I was probably the number 3, number 4 pitcher until I got to high school, actually, on travel ball teams, league ball, that's a little bit different, but on travel ball teams, I didn't become like the number 2, number 1 until high school.
Cool. And did you play like club ball growing up? Was that like a big thing where you're from, and also in Texas as well?
Yeah, so I probably started playing like travel ball, club ball when I was 11, I would say 10 or 11. Decided to venture in, and that's always a big decision, to
Mhm.
go from being in the league and your community, and then taking that next step to get a little bit more serious about things. But I knew that I loved it, knew that I loved pitching. I hit as well, so got to do a lot on each team that I played on.
Yeah, on the different club level and stuff like that. Now club is like a completely different, like, just around the country. It's just like ball has exploded. So
Yeah,
so
it's gotten a lot more intense. Yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely. It's been like what age did you commit then to college, and what was that recruitment process like?
So this is back in the day, so to speak. So this is like in
You
2000.
didn't commit in like sixth grade?
I didn't, but I will tell you, Max, like myself and then another girl that I played with at A&M, Megan Gibson, we were on the same travel team together from the same area, ended up going to play at A&M together. We got recruited around the same time as well. And this is at a time where it was so much more normal to wait until your senior year to commit, or like the summer before your senior year. And so we were early because we committed, in the fall of our junior year. So that was kind of like the very beginning of verbal commitments happening before your senior year. So that was like in 2002. Yeah, in 2002. So I'd like to think that we started the trend of early commitments there, not waiting until your senior year.
And was it an early decision, Texas? Was it like an easy decision, like Texas A&M? Did you were like, hey, I don't know the landscape of Texas. Maybe both of you guys can speak to it. Is it local for you kind of, or is it like at least close enough to home, but you could, kind of come and go as you please? What was that like kind of part of your decision as well?
Yeah, so I'm an only child, and A&M was only an hour away from my house. So I loved like that my parents could come to every single game. I mean, even whenever we had tournaments, I was outside of Texas, my parents still came to every single game. So that was important for me. I got recruited by other schools, but A&M was the first one that I went on an unofficial visit to, and I committed on the spot. Didn't even need to see any other schools. Fell in love with it, fell in love with Coach Evans and just the proximity to my house and my parents, and knew that that's where I wanted to go.
Awesome. That's it's a different story for everybody. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're in California, you come east. It's like it's fascinating to know where the different players end up, and kind of for you, it was obviously the right fit. It felt like home. So that's cool.
Yeah.
And the coach, you mentioned Coach Gibson, right? That was the head coach.
Well, Megan Gibson was my teammate. Coach Evans was the coach at A&M. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys, I mean, kind of clicked right out of the gate. The Coach Evans.
Yeah. She just was calm and passionate and fiery, like all in the same bundle. And I love that. I love the way that she communicated to her players. I love the way that she coached on the field. As when you're getting recruited, you get to watch some practices. I love her balance of softball and then also like taking time to do some things that are important in life and travel. Like all of that kind of just connected with me and made me want to go to A&M.
And at A&M, you kind of did some special things, to note, not to kind of relive, but like for the first time, I think in 20 years, you guys made the tournament in 2007. Like talk about how that year was just so special. You guys like kind of obviously clicked and you kind of flat out dominated. So, and you can also hit too. So, also describing that too, how you pitch and you also hit also. So what was that year like in 2007?
Yeah, so that was my junior year, and the class that came in together when we were freshmen, there were 4 of us. We were just an impactful class right away. 3 of the 4 of us were everyday starters my freshman year, and then the other one ended up starting like her sophomore year. So like we were 4 of us everyday starters, very close friends, and so by the time that we were juniors, we were experienced, we were poised, we had great talent on the team, we had great leadership with our class and the senior class that was above us. So it was just a magical run because A&M has a lot of history in college softball. Back in the 80s, they won a couple of national championships, and so they hadn't been back to the World Series, in 20 years. There's that 20-year gap. So we ended up playing Florida in 2007 in Super Regionals, ended up beating them in College Station. It was just like, when I think back to one of my most favorite softball moments, that's the one that always comes to mind whenever somebody asks me that question. And that was our junior year. Yeah.
And as you're kind of coming into college, making the transition from high school, what were some of the initial struggles you faced kind of making that transition, and what kind of helped you make that transition into the higher league?
I think that everything is just so much more when you're a student athlete at a college. So you're practicing more than you've ever practiced before. You have weightlifting and conditioning that you have to get into your everyday schedule versus like kind of maybe randomly doing it like once a week or twice a week. Now it's so much more regimented. Then not to mention the school, like you're going to school maybe a little bit less in terms of like class, but then you have way more work and you have study hall and you have team meetings and you have just like everything was so much more. So I think the biggest thing was just literally like writing every single minute of my day down so that I felt like I could like make sure I went to everything. You're so scared of being late to something or missing something that like I would literally write down like when I was going to shower, when I was going to eat, when I was going to study, when I was going to go to bed, like all the things down to the minute, because you have to plan your day that way because everything is so much more once you get there. So that was the biggest transition.
That's interesting. They should have somebody there that's like helping you doing that. Like I'm sure, they might have somebody, but they should have somebody that's planning this stuff out for you, because you go there as a kid and then obviously you want to mature and stuff like that. And there's only, you need to be kind of taught all these things, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they try, but like everybody's gonna have a different method too,
Yeah.
right? To feel like they're successful and that they feel like they can accomplish the day. So like they help you a lot, but there's only so much, like only so far they can take you to when like you just have to take over yourself. Like you have to figure it out on your own.
Yeah. And I was on your website actually earlier this week, and I know it wouldn't obviously be a podcast, video conference without this question, but like, your height is obviously a big topic. When you were like, how did you kind of, let's say, shut up the people that would say like she's too kind of small? Because you're not obviously height wise. There's some pitchers that are 6'2", 6'3", and you're like, I mean, 5'6", 5'7". With like, how do you kind of take that and like use that as ammo to kind of like prove them wrong?
Yeah, 5'5" actually, so even shorter than you just
Okay,
mentioned.
5'5". Okay, I was trying to give
I
you that extra. I was trying to give you
yeah.
a little bit extra.
I had parents who never mentioned it. I had coaches that didn't make it a big deal. So honestly, like growing up, I didn't ever really think of it, think anything about it. And it was like my pitching coach that I went to when I was at a really young age that helped me biomechanically like get everything in my pitching motion in the exact right spot by comparing, like, this is old VCR video, like my video to Lisa Fernandez, to Susie Parra, to Dee Dee Wyman, which are like older pictures from like back in the day. But like we would do that constantly because she knew they had great mechanics. And if we wanted to get the most out of my frame and my body, I needed to look similar to them. So we were constantly comparing and using, as much as you could, video analysis through VCR, and just trying to make it work and trying to stay on it to make sure every single part of my body was in the right spot to be able to throw harder, get more movement, whatever it was, endurance wise, strength, to get more out of my body.
Mm-hmm. That's and then the next year, your senior year, obviously again, kind of a low in college, that career-ending injury. Describe how you kind of felt sorry for yourself, or I don't know how long you felt sorry for yourself, but then kind of picked yourself back up and said, I'm going to finish my degree, and then kind of where you went from there. I mean, because you majored in communications at A&M, right?
Yeah, so I got injured probably about a month into the season, and it was a career-ending foot injury. I'm not sure if you guys follow NFL, but Cam Newton actually had the same injury. It's called Liz Frank. So that's why he was out this past season, quarterback for the Panthers, or not Panthers anymore, but soon to be decided for him. But like that was the same type of injury. And so I knew that the rest of the year of my senior year, there's no way I was ever going to play again. So I kind of became a player coach on the field. I found a different role. I tried to stay positive. I did every single thing that my teammates did. So even, when they had a team workout, I was there. It's not like I didn't go, or even when they were working out, like I was doing abs, like just trying to like continue to give effort, to give support, to give my all to the team, to find a different role, find a different way that I can help them and add as much value as I possibly could in a different way. So Max, if you would have asked me, before I got injured, if I would have wanted to coach softball, my answer would have been absolutely not. I am burnt out. I want something different. But I get injured. It throws me into a completely different role. We end up going to the World Series, and our team plays in the national championship game. It's a really big story because I was an All-American. I was hurt. The girl that I mentioned before, Megan Gibson, she led our team, put our team on her back, and carried us there in the circle and at the plate. And so it just became like a really big story that year. And because of that and my new role, that's why I ended up wanting to coach. And that the attention that I got kind of from that injury helped me transition as well, to become an ESPN analyst, as I did that the very next year after my senior year.
Okay. So was that the plan? Like you were like, hey, I'm going to go into broadcasting. Like my dream job is to work for ESPN if I can't play and have some impact in that role.
Yeah. So, I did put that out on the like questionnaires that you had to fill out as a player. Like, what's your dream job? I think I put, ESPN broadcaster, but I truly like that. You know how some things are just like, yeah, I would love to be an astronaut or love to, do this, but they don't seem realistic to you. Like that's what being an ESPN broadcaster was for me. Just an answer like on a sheet of something that sounded really cool. And so that wasn't something like, even though I majored in communications, like that wasn't something that was at the forefront of my mind of what I wanted to do. It was just actually something that kind of fell in my lap, and a random call from who's now my boss, asking if I wanted to call a super regional the year after I got done playing. And so everything has escalated since then.
Yeah. So you call that super regional, like, was that like nerve wracking? Like that first time you had to call that game?
Oh my, Yeah, I think that I blacked out. I was so nervous, like hearing 3, 2, 1, like the producer counting down on my ear and seeing the red light come on, and like there's just I don't think there's anything else quite like it. And still to this day, I feel a little bit nervous because it's almost like throwing a first pitch in a game, or
Mm.
if you're the first hitter of a game, like those beginning of the game jitters. That's how it feels to like come on air. It just feels, you can tell it feels different. It feels bigger. It feels like something's at stake. And so the first time ever that I was on, absolutely, like I said, I think I blacked out, and I was so nervous because it was at UCLA. So the perennial powerhouse, the team that has all the history in our sport, was at UCLA. They were playing Missouri. Ended up going 3 games, and you guys, guess what? Missouri ended up beating UCLA that year. So it was like an upset too. So it got a lot of attention. It was a really, really fun, really cool moment in my life.
And since then you've climbed the ladder at ESPN, and now for a College World Series you're like in the main booth. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I've done that. It would have been 6 years this year, but we're not going to have it. So I've done it for 5 years. Dream come true. I just can't believe the opportunities that have come from that moment and from my injury, and just progressing now, getting to call the World Series, and just loving every second of it.
Yeah, and you think ESPN does a good job of kind of highlighting softball? Like, I feel like the College World Series, they do a really good job with kind of highlighting it. I'm wondering what it's going to take, and I've had other softball personalities on here to kind of get a pro softball league, but I just feel like the College World Series is such like a kind of, we're all missing it because we know what would be coming right now. We know the College World Series, we know softball first, then baseball. You feel like ESPN does a good job with that College World Series?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've made it the standard, and it grows every single year. And I think it all stems a lot from like the beginning of the SEC network. Whenever it started, was able to
Yeah.
put a lot more softball on TV. So I think that because more softball was on TV because of the SEC network, and not to mention, back in 2015 or 14, I think when it started, SEC was like the team. 14 and 15, Florida won the national championship. So the SEC, was the conference, and the Pac-12 and the SEC are always right there. So
Yeah.
it helps that when you turn on SEC network, you're seeing top 10 teams, top 25 teams, and you get people invested in it. And so you're able to see it more on TV, and then you're able to follow those teams to the World Series, and it just rates and rates and rates and rates and builds through the postseason. So I think the SEC network specifically was something, obviously that's owned by ESPN, by the way, but the SEC network specifically, I think, is the big turning point for softball just taking off at the World Series, and the attention and the media, and just even more growth. It was already on a good trajectory, but that helped even more.
That's so how many normal year, right? Non-coronavirus year. How many games are you calling like in a normal year?
Game, because I'll do Little League World Series too. So college softball games, I want to say it's like 40, 45,
Okay.
somewhere in there. And then, well, like usually in the fall, it's a Little League World Series too that we end up doing. So it's like altogether, I'll do like 60 something games.
That's quite a bit. That's definitely, yeah. Well, I know you got your plate full because there's other aspects kind of what you do, like training and stuff like that. So how do you meet, Jen, and how do you guys, like, she's the catcher, you're the pitcher for the package deal. How does the package deal, how does that relationship grow, and how do you end up working for like the package deal and creating this?
Yeah, so Jen and I are the same age. So we were, kind of not grew up together because she's in California, I'm in Texas, but I mean, we were like on the same track in terms of like the exact same graduation year, played in college the exact same year. So we were at a tournament together in Arizona, and randomly, this is funny because you guys are from New Jersey, I was playing on a team called Team New Jersey. They had seen me at a tournament, and they asked me to pick up for them for like some fall tournaments, and like it was just super easy going, like fun. So I did it. Well, we ended up playing this Team New Jersey. I'm from Texas. We ended up playing in Arizona. We played Jen's team. And so Jen knew that I was from Texas. And so I think either she or her coach was like, well, if Amanda's from Texas and she's playing on this team out of New Jersey, see if she'll come play for our team out of So Jen being, she's super shy, as I'm sure everybody knows, just kidding. She's the one actually that like came up to me and just said, hey, I'm Jen. And we want to know if you, would be interested in coming and playing on our Firecracker team out of California. And so that's the minute that like we met because of that. and just ended up keeping in touch in the best way that you can without Instagram and Facebook back then. And even beyond college, we were doing the same thing, giving lessons, doing clinics, ended up coming together to start the package deal along with Morgan Stewart and Katie Schroeder.
That's cool. That's cool. That's a good story. The Firecrackers are like a very well-known team from California. So I'm assuming you went and played with them.
No, I didn't, because the only reason I was playing with Team New Jersey was just literally like for fun, like for 2, maybe 3 tournaments. It was like a pickup team that they put together. They didn't play consistently together too. So I didn't. I just stuck with my Texas team. But it was an honor, I guess, to be asked by the Firecrackers to go and play with them for sure. They're very well known with Tony Rico and just the history of all the college players that they produce that lead that program.
Yeah. So, has the height of like, because you mentioned like during this time there might have been like the beginnings of like an Instagram or Twitter or whatever, but like has the height of like social media helped the package deal grow and your own brand grow? Because you could YouTube videos on pitching tips and stuff like that. Has that helped?
Oh yeah, it's been huge, and I feel like Jen and I were some of the first to actually have like a softball following on Instagram and on a Facebook page, and like and use it with the purpose of putting our information out there, putting drills out there, putting motivation out there. So even before the package deal, Jen and I were doing that on our own, which is another reason that we were so connected, because we literally were doing the same thing. It's just she was doing it for catching and I was doing it for pitching. But yeah, I mean, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. And there's even like a slow motion pitching video of me that was made through a company called Softball Power Drive. And that was like back in maybe 14, and it's gotten almost 2 million views. So like that's such a big tool to be able to put out information, get in front of people, and just try to impact them as much as you possibly can in a positive way.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Actually, I saw that your like Instagram won like with Challenge U Softball won Instagram of the week, and the lady who runs that, Lisa Rizzo, was actually, she's a good friend. She's in New Jersey too. So
okay.
Yeah, you have a lot of New Jersey connections, actually, it seems.
I know,
New Jersey, Instagram of the week, all that stuff. So she'll be happy to kind of get a shout out. And I think she messaged me last night saying she was excited to that you were coming on this podcast. So appreciate that.
I just love the way that social media connects, and I love the reach of social media. Like, I just think it's awesome. And so I ended up stopping getting private lessons because I'm like, there's so much more people that I can reach online or through bigger clinics. And so it's not that I didn't want to give lessons anymore. It's just, I was in the middle of a lesson thinking about how I could post a video and like 10,000 people could watch it versus just working with one person. And there's something to be said about each of those things, right? But like that social media is such a main like passion and love and motivation of me to be able to reach not just people in the United States too, but to be able to reach people all over the world. It's just so cool how it brings people together.
And the package deal now, like obviously you guys are one of the bigger kind of, softball training, like on the go things. Like you guys will go to, like I saw this year, like Cowboy Stadium and bring your crew and then like have an event like that, right?
Yeah, so that we've done that for 2 years. It's our New Year's Eve event. It's been super special, very big, the biggest event that we do. And I say that the biggest event that we do before we invented softball school. Because there's about 4,000 people in softball school, which again, we're talking about reach and trying to get in front of people. Softball school has allowed us to really kind of throw the biggest event that we've ever thrown. Because before that, it was Cowboy Stadium, which we thought was huge. But online, just so many more people can gather and collect and connect all about the same passion.
That's awesome. So, right now during this kind of quarantine, what would you tell anybody that's like, looking to train, stay kind of fresh? Like, what would you kind of be some of your tips to some people like that?
I think it's just being creative and finding different ways to have a focus for each day or each week. You can't, I feel like we're all kind of getting tired of like kind of going through the same days every single day in quarantine. So finding ways to be creative, go look at a different video, go find a different drill, make up your own workout, like really dig deep into yourself to come up with something that feels good to you, that motivates you, that makes you want to get up every day. Not just relying on outside forces, but dig deep within yourself to come up with those things and execute them and feel fulfilled after you do it.
Yeah, yeah. And do you feel also like the softball community is kind of like growing, like when you were playing versus what it is now? Has it grown?
It's grown a lot. I think it's because of social media, because of TV. So you guys, so many more games are on TV, and that
Mm.
sparked so much growth, I think, for our entire sport. Is there were going to be like over 1,600 games for this season, which was like the most ever for softball on TV. So all of that leads to just so much growth, so much positive energy towards our sport. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot. I've said it, for a lot of different podcasts that the softball community has been really great. It's like it's talking to somebody a little bit different. Like it's just like the baseball. I mean, the guests that we've been able to get, like the softball, like yourself, Jen. We've got girls that are on the Olympic team. It's been a better experience than like a baseball. Now I don't want to come down on our baseball peeps, but it's just like the softball community is just like a little bit more friendly. I don't know why. I don't know. It's just like, I might be saying something that I shouldn't be saying, but it's true. It's just the way I feel.
I think that's a common like theme. I don't feel like you're like the only person that's ever thought that. Softball people love to give back. I think that baseball, like it's easy to get set in your own ways because baseball's been around for so long, right?
Mm-hmm.
But softball is like this new train that is just taking off that everybody wants to get on and like continue the momentum forward. So I think that you feel that with every guest that you bring on because there's excitement and like still newness feel to it of people wanting to give back and just be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, I find that also too, like, was your dad, like, was he a baseball guy and then like got you into softball, or was he just like, hey, like we need to keep you busy type thing?
He just played baseball in high school.
Okay.
And then, he always liked it. Like we always watched the Astros. We always watched the Rockets because I'm from Houston. We always watched the Oilers and then the Texans. Like that was like our thing, which is sports, like just either watching them or playing them or talking about them. Like that still is our thing. So he's the one that signed me up for softball. He's the one that got me to pitch. And then we're just doing this thing together.
That's cool. Well, I think both of you can probably speak like the atmosphere. What was the atmosphere like at like a Texas A&M softball game? Was it like no other?
Yeah, especially when I was there, we were setting record crowds often because, A&M and Texas still played each other. So there was still that in-state rivalry that doesn't get to be had anymore because we were all in the Big 12. So that was really, really cool to be a part of. And now Max and Dylan probably knows this. Now they just built a $30 million stadium. Oof. So now they're still, even though they aren't, like a top 10 team, they're still very competitive. Don't get me wrong. But they're still getting great crowds because people want to go and be in that stadium. People love the game of softball. I think they market it really well. Like the stadium that they have is without a doubt the best stadium in the United States and maybe even the best stadium for softball in the entire world. It's awesome.
That's going to be known as the stadium that Amanda built, right?
I wouldn't go that far.
So what does the future hold for you and your brand? Like just kind of keep doing package deal, keep doing ESPN. I mean, it seems like sky's the limit with that.
Yeah, and this quarantine is having finally a break to not travel every week for ESPN, for package deal has given me time to think and be creative. And funny you ask, because I have new pitching courses that are coming out. I've never had pitching training courses online. I've never done that before. So this will be a first for me. I have a really big announcement on Saturday on my Facebook page, and I'm going to tell you all about it and kind of what I have planned for these courses that are moving forward with my brand Pitching Angel that I'm super proud of and super motivated to be able to touch as many pitchers as I possibly can through.
All right. So anybody listening to this, I'll upload the video later. You can check that out on your Instagram, you said?
Yeah. So it'll be on my Facebook Live page, but I do have Instagram handle at Pitching Angel, and then at Amanda Scarborough is me. A lot of different places that you can follow me at the package, like all the things, a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah. At the package deal, the package deal mafia, there's like 4 of you guys. So if, let's say I asked a question to some girls, but let's see, this will be the closing question. I appreciate you taking the time out of your quarantine kind of day. I don't know what that holds. A lot of Zoom calls, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, a lot of podcasts. We've been on the podcast merry-go-round, and even like yesterday, I did a podcast with Kent Murphy, who now has a podcast. And so I think I was the first softball player that will be on his podcast. So that was kind
cool.
of cool. So, yeah.
I started a podcast in January. So that's like, I did it before this, and it was actually geared because we're a sporting goods store to like selling gear and stuff like that. And I got some of the different manufacturers on, as you know, Jen has her own catching gear, like the Easton catcher's gear. So I've had some different like people like that on. But then when this whole thing happened, I don't think people were going to want to hear about kind of like gear that they couldn't really use or want to use right now. So I started shifting the focus towards getting different baseball and softball personalities on. And I just said, like, that's why I feel like the softball, different personalities have been, like I said, again, like they've been just more warm in coming on here. But that's cool. I've seen you on doing the podcast circuit, and now everybody has a podcast. When this goes away, I wonder like how many people are going to be left. But we've been here since January, so we've been prior to. So they make a movie, right, about the package deal, right? What actress is going to play you in the movie?
Ooh. Why do I want to say Blake Lively? I don't know. I love her.
Second person that said Blake Lively, not about the package deal, but wanted to play in the movie.
I just also don't we have very distinct personalities on the package deal too. And I don't know actresses' personalities enough to be like, oh, I'm just like this person. But I mean, I love Blake Lively, and I also love Reese Witherspoon. So I feel like if either one of those people played me, Blake Lively might be a little too tall. So maybe Reese Witherspoon is more my height, and we could pull that
off. All right, cool. So if Reese is listening out there, we, in years from now, when the package deal is just internationally known, all that stuff, you need to play Amanda in a movie. So my wife just started making me watch Gossip Girl with Blake Lively. So if I make it through the full season, I think there's 6 or 7 seasons. She said maybe 8 of all the Gossip Girls, and we're not allowed out of our house. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where I'm going to turn to. So
XOXO Gossip Girl.
Well, have a good one, and please stay safe and healthy. And if you're ever in the tri-state area, stop in here and love to meet you face to face.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, you guys. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
Have a good one.